So now taking back a gold medal to Cuba in the light heavyweight division, 81 kilograms or about 178 pounds, is one Julio Cesar La Cruz of Cuba, as I mentioned already, pulling off a very, very good victory in his final bout against Adilbek Niyazymbetov of Kazakhstan. Niyazymbetov. I'm gonna try to pronounce it a little bit better as this video goes. But La Cruz did a really good job. Was able to maintain good distance against Adilbek Niyazymbetov, and I mean, pretty much cleanly outpointed him. It seemed like Niyazymbetov only won one round of the three, and I think that's even arguable. I think you could have even had it a clean sweep for La Cruz. Niyazymbetov managed to land a couple of good hard shots here and there, but overall he was pretty much summarily outboxed. La Cruz was able to take a lot of the offense out of the fight. He really made it a more negative type of a fight. Very much on the back foot, very much a stick and move, pot shotting type fight, but he didn't necessarily land exceptionally hard for the most part. There were a few good hard shots that he did land, however. He's definitely got power behind his shots. It's just a matter of being able to track him down and force him to throw those hard shots. But once he throws them, you know, there's good power behind him, as he showed in his previous outings. He did a really good job in this final bout, one of the more clear-cut performances in the finals, in the gold medal round in particular for these Olympics. He also defeated Matthew Albert Barolik of France in the bronze medal bout in the semifinals, defeated Michel Borges of Brazil in the quarterfinals, and defeated Mehmet Unal of Turkey in the round of 16. He had a first round bye in the round of 32, so there was no fight there. But I mean, he had a pretty dominant performances against most of his opposition. I think Barolik probably gave him the best fight. Barolik of France gave him a little bit more trouble than these other guys. Was able to let his hands go a bit more willing to you know, give and take in order to land his own shots against La Cruz. But even still, La Cruz proved to be a pretty dominant force at light heavyweight overall. Did an excellent job and brought home the gold. Adilbek Niyazymbetov managed to defeat Joshua Buatsi in the semifinals to get himself into the final match, of course garnering him silver now. Defeated Buatsi of Great Britain, who was a pretty highly touted fighter, one of the most highly touted fighters out of Great Britain for these Olympic Games. Also defeated Temur Mammadov of Azerbaijan, who was a really highly ranked opponent, and what was a really good fight between the two of them. That was a solid fight that I thought could have been an either way type of a fight. Also defeated Mikhail Dulyavets of Belarus and Valentino Manfredonia of Italy. Or actually, my bad, that was Dulyavets defeated him. He never fought Manfredonia. He had a first round bye in the round of 32. So Niyazymbetov did a pretty solid job himself as well. Of course, he takes the silver back to Kazakhstan. Wasn't able to bring quite as much glory back as a couple of his teammates are doing or have done. Joshua Buatsi of Great Britain managed to take home a bronze, of course, after losing to Niyazymbetov. But he was a really impressive fighter, and I think he's definitely going to have a solid pro career. Very much a pro style. He wound up losing a pretty competitive fight against Niyazymbetov in the semifinals. But overall, did a very good job in his quarterfinals against Abdelhafid Benchabla of Algeria, as well as Elshad Rasulov of Uzbekistan, who was really rated over him and managed to pull off a good upset with a knockout. And he also TKO'd Kennedy Katende of Uganda. And so he's one of the more consistent knockout power punching performers, which I think will translate better for the pros, because as of course some of you may or may not know, in the pro game, the ounces of the gloves is 2 ounces less by weight division, and the padding isn't as heavy. You know, in the amateurs they have like a 4-layer foam padding system. In the pros, even the most softly padded like winning type gloves, you know, the soft orthopedic foam type gloves don't have that many layers of foam padding in them. So I think Buatsi's going to have a bright future ahead of him. Matthew Barolik, should he happen to turn pro for France, did a solid job. I think he could be a solid pro as well. Of course, dropped the decision to Julio Cesar La Cruz in the semifinals, but he did defeat Carlos Andres Mina of Ecuador, Carlos Juan Corrillo of Colombia, and he had a first round bye. So he was another fighter that had a first round bye, but overall still did a solid job up until he managed to wind up coming up short against Julio Cesar La Cruz. A couple other fighters that I thought did pretty well. Michel Borges of Brazil, in spite of the fact that he lost to La Cruz in the quarterfinals, I thought he had done. I mean, he gave a pretty good account of himself in there. Overall, had a good win over Hrvoje Sep of Croatia, and had one of the more impressive wins of the tournament over Hassan Ndam Njikam of Cameroon, of course, one of the pro fighters that engaged in these Olympics. Tried to, form a pro champion, trying to go back, run it back to the Olympics and get a medal there. But it wasn't to be. Michel Borges managed to quash those dreams before they even really got any traction underneath them. But that's gonna pretty much do it for the light heavyweight division. As far as other guys that I could see being potentially good pros, I mean, pretty much all the guys that I mentioned. I think Temur Mammadov of Azerbaijan could be a pretty solid pro, should he happen to turn. As well as Andres Carlos Mina of Ecuador. I think those two are guys that could potentially have pretty good transitions over to the pro game, along with, of course, the aforementioned Joshua Buatsi, who I think is probably the brightest future of all these guys in terms of pro prospects. Niyazymbetov, of course, and Baudelik, I think, come just behind him in terms of in that respect, as well as Mammadov. But that's pretty much going to do it for my overall review of the light heavyweight division. It was definitely a pretty good, solid division to watch overall. Some pretty good performances. Didn't quite live up to the same level of excitement as a couple of the other divisions that I've covered. But, sometimes you can't necessarily have all the matchups be absolute bomb burners and, light the world on fire, light the crowd on fire. But overall, just solid performances from these guys, and you definitely got to give them props for bringing home the medals. And I'll do a quick rundown once again. Mathieu Baudelik of France, bringing home a bronze. Adilbek Niyazymbetov of Kazakhstan, bringing home a bronze. Joshua Buatsi of Great Britain, bringing home a bronze. Adilbek Niyazymbetov of Kazakhstan, bringing home a silver. And Julio Cesar La Cruz of Cuba, bringing home the gold, bringing the glory back to Cuba. So that's going to be it for my post light heavyweight tournament review, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.